My name is Tiffany Notch with Notes for Life Arts and Technology.
My name is Ronnie Notch, same company, Notes for Life Arts and Technology. So our story is different. Like when it comes to setbacks, I think at some point, the universe was like, look, y'all have been through enough. So I'm gonna make this business work for you guys. So to preface that, Notes for Life is something that's 100% selfless in terms of what we do. We see the immediate results in the students and even the teachers that we encounter. But people do not know, like 2011, when we met in a situation at a studio where we were all we had in terms of depending on each other, from terrible contracts to people. It's funny, I had applied for a grant in 2011 to do funding for essentially what became Notes for Life. And no matter how many times we resubmitted the grant or the paperwork, it just didn't go through. It was always something that was wrong. And looking back, it wasn't supposed to happen there because of the nature of everyone that was in that building. But because of that situation, it allowed Tiffany and I to really build a bond to where we depended on each other, and that friendship turned to dating, and 3-4 months later turned to engagement. And while that looks great to the outside, people don't know that from October 2011 to April 2012, we shared one cell phone, because we made a commitment that, hey, we have to have certain things lined up, and it was a sacrifice, but in that sacrifice, that developed trust. You can't, not that we were doing anything, but you can't do wrong if you're sharing a cell phone with your significant other. If she get it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I got it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, are we together? So that was the basis of our foundation. And when you take that friendship, which later became marriage and later on in 2012, we were already the best business partners that either one of us could have ever had. So as we approached entrepreneurship, something that we both had done individually, she was the missing piece to everything I had ever done before. And, I might have helped here and there with some stuff with you, but when we got to the Notes for Life part, we knew exactly what we were supposed to do. We willed it, we saw it. We saw it before we could see it through our eyes. And that is why it worked, because we saw what the impact would be for students. We saw what the impact would be for communities. And if you talk about disruption, and I don't mean to keep talking, but if you talk about disruption, the disruption part is that there's no way you go from 6 students to 80,000 students in 12 months, So we had rented a building in U City. We were gonna teach 20 students, and just very, because it was supposed to be, Trina at Microsoft said, you can have these classes here at the store. And we never looked back. And that 80,000 turned into 200,000, 200 turned into 300. We're over 400,000 students impacted. We turned 4 in October. So we know that what we're doing is not for us. And we know that what we're doing is not just because of us. We're filling a need that was clearly there, not just in St. Louis, and we love our town, but it's widespread, so.
I will add one minor detail that Ronnie left out. When we started, for 18 months, we were fully 100% self-funded. And with those 6 students that, started as Notes for Life started, we were their transportation to and from most nights, most sessions. So it involved us, driving to pick them up, driving to take them home. And that was so that we made sure that they were allowed this opportunity. They weren't missing out. And those 6 students will forever be the example for Notes for Life's start.
What dedication is,
Yeah.
We still keep in touch with a lot of their parents. Most of the students, I talked to one of the students yesterday, and he was excited to tell me where he's going to college next year. And, you know, I forget that. You know, I forget that at times when we first started this, you got to put your money into buying the keyboards and you put your money into the software. And while Microsoft gave us that space, Microsoft wasn't giving us any money at that point. And, you know, I remember picking up students with a quarter tank of gas. Like, I remember, it's funny how you can forget that, but I remember helping with homework. I remember trying to help situations with students and their parents and, you know, them going through teenage. I remember 2014 when we started, Ferguson was going on. And I remember having students talk about walking out of their class and they weren't focused to have a class that evening. So we just talked about them and let them, and I think that's how we became who we became, because at that moment, we decided that we're always going to be student first.
And really, no matter what was on the schedule with the curriculum, if they came in with an issue that was pressing, we opened the floor. I mean, we try to keep it as least commercialized and as real as possible for them, because the youth, I mean, you know, it's cliche, but they're our future. So if we're not making time for them to, you know, vent or air out whatever it is they need to get off so they can have a clear head to do the work, what are we there for?
And truthfully, we learn from them. You know, that may be another disruption in regards to education. We never claim to know it all. And the evidence of that is that we can take 30 girls in 36 minutes at a session who know nothing about music production. At the end, they leave owners of intellectual property. They've collaborated with other students. And we've done this time and time again. But that's not credit to us. It's just us showing them that they actually know more than they give themselves credit for. So, you know, it's been a very great journey. Again, we're only 4 years old and we've already got the next 8 years kind of like mapped out in terms of what we want to do. But that accelerated growth is honestly something that I can't say that we saw that. You know, you don't grow from 6 to 80,000. That doesn't. It does happen because it's happened with us, but we didn't expect that. And especially, and I guess, and the number one thing, we always both forget it, but you know, we've never charged a student. And when you look at that and you look at another disruptive moment, normally for them to get these experiences, we have students that are making money because of the classes. They've started producing, they know what a PRO is. They know how to monetize. Their parents invest in them as to where they're making money. And we've never charged a dime for any class, any event, any session, anything we've ever done. That's our promise. Our promise is to always do that. We create the experiences that we wish had been around when we were younger. And instead of living through them, we try to do our best to sow life into them.
I am Tiffany Notch.
And I'm Ronnie Notch.
And we are Dreamers and Disruptors.